welcome back to Soul Mechanics. Please step into my office, take your feet off, feel free to have a seat. Today, I told you guys, a bunch of you guys in a few of the groups and whatnot, that I was going to do a special video for certain persons who had in fact actually threatened me. That it's a story I'll tell, but I don't care about that anymore. Because I'm having a particularly good day now. I'm very happy about something that has sort of come to me via synchronicity. You know, these things happen. Sometimes things occur that I don't see coming. Although this one I did see coming. I'm gonna explain that. But here's the thing. I'll tell the story about the trans folk in a minute, but first I want to tell this story. I was debating with myself whether or not I should put this in the sidetrack course, because I am going to ramble in tangents here, or I should put this in the Approaching Nowhere course, but I think I'm going to go with Approaching Nowhere because it's going to be two stories. So, the initiative, we do have a bit of a reputation for kind of pointing out frauds where it comes to the psychic arena. And, you know, tarot card readings and such, stuff like that. We do go out of our way to try and point out frauds, and there's various reasons for that, but the two primary reasons are going to be, A, obviously we don't want good people getting scammed, we don't want people getting taken for their money, we don't want people being misguided, misdirected, put in danger even because they don't have the correct information, you know, misled. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, we can't have these people out there giving us a bad name. I'm not a psychic practitioner myself. I certainly don't get paid for any of the things that I do here. I do have a certain degree of ability where it comes to being a director, capacity for directing people, for seeing things happen in advance, knowing what's coming and being able to guide people in that way. But as I stated, I certainly don't charge anything for it. It's not a career for me, nor do I intend for it ever to be. So, that's not, and I have a strict policy of my own where I should like to think that people who have these sorts of abilities would be, exchange this freely, would want to give it away, would want to show people freely, just if not for any other reason than to enlighten them and show them that it is in fact real. But you see, the problem is that, as I was saying, there are so many frauds out there giving just our general community a bad name. People don't really tend to buy into the whole spiritual aspect of anything, or the metaphysical aspect, rather. It's tough to say that we're spiritualists. As I've stated before, we're more just investigators. I'm an investigator, and I'm a pretty proficient director. I become pretty fucking good at this. And the more that I learn to trust my intuition, the more that I see that it's always correct. I'm very rarely wrong anymore. But I always kind of think that I am. I always mistrust myself. That it's neither here nor there at the moment. There are so many frauds out there giving the general spiritual community or the psychic community or what have you a bad name, making them look bad, making people mistrust them and think that they're charlatans and frauds left and right. It's rare to come across, someone who is in fact legit, the real deal, Holyfield, the real thing. It's very rare to come across that. I can tell you, when you do come across it, the primary factors that you're going to see standing out there are going to be that these people will not hesitate. They're not going to be hesitant. They're going to be free and open and honest with you. They're going to tell you what comes to them, and sometimes they're not entirely correct, but a lot of the time you'll find that they are. They can be astonishingly correct, such as is the case with this particular someone that I happen to meet today. It's a young lady named Tana, who hopefully we'll be working with in the future. I'm making this video for her. Madam, if you're watching this video, hello, it's good to, well, I'm not talking with you, but it was great to meet you. It was great to talk to you. You really lit me up. Gave me a sort of a validation there, that I haven't had in a long while. As I said, it's very rare to run into people who are for real. And, when you haven't for so long, and you feel like you're the only one out there, that's really I mean, obviously for the other people, for the directive, and for anybody working with the initiative, I certainly don't feel like I'm the only one. I know you guys are with me in this fight, you know. And when I say fight, madam, for this Tana woman, I mean a fight against cognitive dissonance, a fight against negativity. Ultimately, what we're fighting against is division. We're trying to bring people together, and the fight is in the soul. The battlefield is in the soul. It's us, humanity, fighting against itself, fighting against its own division complex, fighting against its own insecurities, and each and every one of us waging this war within, battling against our own insecurities and our own shame and guilt and what have you, whatever it is that's holding us back, you know, fighting against our addictions, fighting against our habits, fighting against those parts of us that want to hold us back, keep us down, that want to shackle us. It's that this is a revolution of the soul. And you know, when you're out there and you do feel as though you're on your own and you're really working hard, and sometimes I do, I mean, I don't always, you guys, be honest, you're not always there when I need for you to be. I don't want to be a dick about it. I'm not going to be a dick about it. Today, I'm happy. I'm very happy. So I run into this young lady, Tana, who's starting her own group, and I decided to back up this group because I had a feeling for it. Just an intuition. Now, it turns out that a while back, I showed you guys a picture of a game that I was playing on my phone in my spare time, a Zelda game. And in this game, I go to this woman who's reading a crystal ball, and she tells me that you have to speak into it. It's the NDS emulator, so it works with the microphone in the game. And it tells you to speak into it, to tell it your gender and I think your age or something, or maybe your name. I don't know, to tell the color of your eyes, your gender, and your age. And then she reads your fortune, and I was into that. I was like, this is so cool, because I mean, that's like, it's a very specific something that where it comes to using tools for divinations like tarot cards, for example, they're effective because of their complexity. It's synchronicity is in play. It's the universe itself, the greater world, the living world, guiding and influencing these tools that are in place. So the more complicated a tool is, like a deck of tarot cards, the more effective it can be, because the more options synchronicity has to work with. And so it can give you very precise information. And so I'm thinking that this speaking into the microphone for this game with this fortune teller, it might be the real deal. And as it turns out, it was. Because what this fortune teller told me, she said that there's somebody out there looking for love, that's me, who's feeling alone, that's me, who needs to find a prophet, was basically the gist of it. They told me I needed to find a prophet. Why would a crystal ball fortune teller tell you you need to find a prophet? Well, I went looking for a prophet, and here I run into one, and I'm looking for love out there alone. In this particular scenario, I'm talking about romance. Obviously, you guys know that. Anybody who knows me, you know that I've been what's the word? I've been stuck in this particular situation for a while, especially Sweetie Cheeks. My ex-wife, I just go on and on to her about this particular somebody. But, anyways, so I talked to this woman, Tana, who's starting her own group that we're backing up. Effective immediately. I'm going to support this group. I'm going to work with her and help her build this group as best I can. And, you know, show her the ropes for the most part of how to handle these groups, because I've done this a few times now, and I feel as though I've gotten pretty proficient at it. And like I said, synchronicity, intuition just told me to help this woman out. So, I call her on the phone, and now I didn't want to outright tell her that it's like, well, I kind of have to test her. If she's going to be charging people, I have to test her, and that's our policy with everyone. Anybody who's, you know, selling fortunes, doing divinations out there of any sort, if the initiative comes across you, we're going to have to put you to the test to make sure that you're legitimate, because we cannot have frauds out there just giving, you know, anybody out there that is fraudulent, that's scamming people in this way, you're destroying the real people out there, their opportunity. Like, I know everybody's got to make a quick buck, but if you're a con artist, that doesn't really apply. Like, there are people out there doing this legitimately who need to make a living. So, I'm sorry if you're fraudulent and you're out there doing your thing and you think you've got a sweet deal. I'm gonna have to wreck you. I can't let you do that. I apologize in advance, but I'm gonna have to stop you. I'm sorry. There are people who need for me to do that, and as I've stated so many times before, in certain cases it might seem like prejudice to some extent, and it might seem somewhat abrasive or aggressive for the spiritual community, but somebody does have to step up and do something. We can't just sit back and think it's all going to work itself out. The universe works in mysterious ways through us. It doesn't just work itself out on its own. We have to step into play and do something. So some of us do have to step up and make a difference, and I'm going to. I'm going to put you all to the test out there. Sorry that I'm rambling on like this. I'm excited, but so I didn't want to tell this young lady because she was very sweet and kind. She hails from Canada, by the way, and she even has like the accent, kind of. So it's very cool to talk to her. I don't know if she's actually originally from Canada, but whatever the case, she's in Canada. So we had a little trouble getting each other on the phone for a minute, but called via messenger. And I didn't want to tell her that I was going to put her on the spot. I didn't want to be mean about it. But I did suggest that if we do an interview for the channel, which is why I initially contacted her, I wanted her to do an interview for the channel, for her group, for starting her group. And I told her, well, maybe you could do a reading for me in the interview, and show off a little. Because I'm of the mind that, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. If you're out there practicing this, I'm going to believe you're the real deal until you prove yourself to be false. But she jumps right on it, no hesitation. First sign that she's for real. She jumps right on it. She says, I can give you a reading right now. And I told her precisely what I wanted, a reading for, or about, rather. And this beautiful young lady, she's gorgeous, by the way. She's very attractive. She gets every detail, like, perfect, like, right on the spot. She even told me things that have happened in my past, particular things, and in detail. So she's for real, real. And then, of course, she told me precisely what I wanted to hear, which is not to say any sort of a scamming aspect. Most of the con artists are going to tell you what you want to hear because they're going to know what you want to hear. But this woman, she knew things about me she shouldn't know, firstly. Second, when I say she told me precisely what I wanted to hear, what I mean is that it happened as it happens. The truth turns out to be what I would like for it to. And it is what I would like for it to. So that changed my whole outlook. That gave me the confidence to proceed in the manner that I would like to. And really, that, like I said, it gave us sort of a validation. And I've been out there in the cold for a long time. I haven't encountered anybody else. I know a few people like me who have had experiences like me and are living in the same world I am for the most part. But this young lady, she even said to me, she said that, she's, after a certain experience she had, which we'll talk about in our interview, hopefully, she's living in an entirely different world. The entire world has changed her, and that's relatable. I can relate to that in many different ways, and it is. Where I come across to people, the people who don't understand me, and think that, some of the things I might say or do are a little ludicrous or out there, just don't make sense to you. It's because we are, in fact, living in completely different worlds. We're right in front of each other. We can reach out and touch each other. We can look right at each other, but we are on two different earths. The world that I'm living in, is alive and living and breathing and communicating with me. It's a conscious living entity that is a friend to me and always has been, and this is something that's always been taken for granted. Just common sense. I've never lived in a world where we did not consider, myself and my immediate peoples consider God to be present in every moment, the universe right here with you. And then, as I've stated before, when I did in fact unlock that kundalini and go through that experience, it became amplified to the point where it was no longer avoidable. The world is right there in front of me, speaking to me in every moment. It's right on the edge of that boundary all the time. It can be invasive at times, the world living like that. It can be, I'm not going to say an enemy, but a kind of kind of an aggravation, let's say. Sometimes you don't want to agree with what the world is telling you, but you kind of got to, at least every now and then. But, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but, yes, this young lady, she mentioned that. She said that it felt like she was living in a different world, and I can relate to that, madam. I understand exactly what you're talking about. We are living in a different world than most people as it stands, but we're trying to bring them, with us. We're trying to wake everybody up to that reality, to wake up to the, realize the fact that the world is alive, it's a friend to us, it matters that we're all family, that we're all here for the purpose of doing good and making things better and making a perfect world, making this world a heaven. There are too many people out there who want to make this world a hell, people out there who want to end this world, and people out there that are fighting to divide us from God itself, to even try to eliminate God, to destroy God. They don't realize that that's not really a viable possibility, considering that it's in you, it is you. So you can't destroy God, because it's the grandfather paradox sort of thing. Like, if you went back in time and killed your parents before you were born, how could you do that if you weren't born? The same idea with concept with deicide. You can't destroy deity because it's the hand of deity that's making that move. So that's a critical and intimate conversation to be had at a later date concerning that topic. But yes, this woman was for real. She told my fortune. You did an incredible job, madam. Thank you very much for that. You get a standing ovation, and we'll fully endorse her. And whether we do work together or not on this, I'm going to try and help her out with the group. Whether she does an interview or not, I'm going to back her up, because you really enlightened me there, milady. You woke me up. She made me cry in the convenience store in front of like a bunch of old people. She made me tear up in the convenience store in the Family Dollar. So yeah, I'm sorry that I'm rambling in tangents here in this video, but I wanted to tell that story. I'll tell you guys the other story in another video, because I got this done in under 20 minutes, and I was just happy about that. I wanted to share that. She told me certain things that I was very worried about not to worry about. She told me, what I'm aiming for is achievable, and what we're doing, she validated the factor that what we're doing is in fact important, that we're not the only ones out there wandering alone, that they're very powerful people. What this young lady's capable of doing, what she might even take for granted at this point. She said to me that she lives her entire life this way, that it's just constantly the universe informing her in this way. I live that way too. It's constantly the universe informing me, but I couldn't tell you, details about your past like that. It's like, I don't know where that's coming from. That's another level that this woman has in play that I can't see. So what she's capable of doing is very powerful, and there are people like that out there. It's a reality, and people with real abilities to do that. And I've seen casters. I've practiced magics on my own. I've seen it. I've seen how effective it can be, and immediate. All of these things that we're practicing, they're real. And as I've told you guys before, I've been through very strange happenings. I've had a lot of these. She mentioned it in her reading, I suppose you could say. She told me that, well, seems you've been through a lot of crazy mystical experiences. Yeah, I'm not sure the universe is going to tell you the half of it. Some of it might be keeping hidden, but yeah, I've been through things that most people wouldn't believe are even possible, and I've been through the worst of it too. So where I'm coming from, I've been stamped out by existence. I've been through the ringer. I've been through the furnace. I've felt the worst of it, and I've seen the worst face of humanity, and how, as I stated in my very first YouTube video, I said I've seen how wrong things can really go, and I have. Yet here I am telling you guys that we're winning. We're doing well here. We're making a big fucking difference, guys. I know a lot of you out there can't see it yet, but you will. It's happening. So anyways, I'm very happy about that. I got a cool reading. This woman's legit. Hopefully we're going to start working with her. I'm going to help her out with this. I'm sorry that it's all over the place and rambling in tangents. I just got really happy and excited, and I wanted to tell you guys that. And I wanted to make this video for her, for you, Madam Tana, specifically just to introduce myself. I wanted to say that I've been kind of harsh and critical on most specifically religion and just the hateful mentality of people and this division complex. I've been pretty seriously critical. I've been kind of an asshole on it. And if you watch some of my earlier videos, you might see me being a dickhead about it. And I'm sorry, I am sorry, and I'm going to try to stop doing that. So I'm not going to be so critical and shitty. I'm not going to have a change of mind about religion, about modern religion. That's not likely to ever happen, but I can have a change of heart and to set an example of that, most especially for the people who recently threatened me. You can have a change of heart too, and I'll make another video for that, but it's to set an example, a living example. You can have a change of heart. I'm going to stop being so harsh on religion. It's not, and religious people, it's not their fault. And religion in and of itself, as it stands, as I've stated so many times, it holds a lot of great things, a lot of truths, but it is ultimately a mistake that needs to be corrected. But I don't have to be so mean about it, you know, and I'm sorry that I come across mean at times. It's just I do get angry and I get frustrated, but it's a tough job that I do, but I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep getting better at it until we get it done. So, this is me getting a little better at it, I suppose. Thank you all for watching. Keelah, Taerve, Siari, Namasté.